to welcome you all here at the Riverhead Free Public Library, and also for those of you who are on Zoom, welcome to Poetry Street, a room without a roof where every voice is heard. Poetry Street was founded by Susan Dingle and Robert Bubby Brown as a part of the East End Arts Program, and we're so happy to have Bubby here today. We'd like to thank everyone at the Free Public Library for their hospitality. Now, at this time, I would normally do a land welcoming, and I'm so fortunate to have invited Jerron McKelvin. He's the president of the Native Unity and Peace nonprofit organization, and he did a short video for it.
As Chip said, whenever we embark on any endeavors, anything with regards to invoking a good spirit, invoking teamwork, leadership, all of those principles in each individual, we always want to acknowledge the Creator for what He's bestowed upon us. With all reverence and gratitude to Creator for the blessings bestowed upon us on these sacred grounds that we call our home, we thank Him for our ancestors all across each state and the archipelago of the Caribbean islands and beyond. For they left the instructions handed down by signs in nature and in the heavens. We give special gratitude to our extended Lenape family here in New York for the ability to live and situate ourselves in their ancestral homelands. There were many tribal nations living together in the Americas for countless thousands of years prior to European encroachment, which underlined the wars, forced enslavement, and migrations in the 17th century and led to the Dutch West India Company to acquire a stronghold of land from the Lenape nation. They renamed it New Amsterdam and subsequently New York after the Anglo-Dutch Wars. Although there have been many countless tribal nations lost because of the aforementioned reasons, there are still many descendants of the ancestors who lived to nurture and protect the homelands, oral histories, and way of life. As a new day is upon us, it is vitally imperative that we acknowledge our history in order that we preserve the lessons of our past to make way for a restoration of peace and balance for a more prosperous future that we can all benefit from and enjoy together in our pursuit of happiness. Thank you.
And now I would like to bring my co-host, who is actually on Zoom tonight, Maggie Bloomfield.
Hi, everybody. I'm delighted to be here. I wish I were in the library, but I have to go somewhere really after the feature, so I apologize in advance for having to leave early. But I am thrilled to be here, and I am always thrilled to be part of Poetry Street. As Chip said, the room where every voice is heard. We have a wonderful, wonderful time here at Poetry Street. And the way the afternoon proceeds is we will have 3 wonderful features who will read for about 12 minutes. And then there will be an open mic. If you would like to be part of the open mic, please sign up in chat with Chip. And a lot of people sign up for this open mic the first time, and then they just keep coming back. And I might say getting better and better as poets. We're all here because we love poetry. And I mean, it's a gorgeous summer day. It's a perfect day for poetry. It's a perfect day for anything, really. And I really welcome you all. Our features today are Nancy Keating, Tom Stock, and Joseph Joe Hurns. So we will begin. I know this wonderful couple that's featuring for us today. I'm so thrilled that they're with us. The male portion of the couple is a wonderful poet who's here in person. Please, let's all welcome Tom Stock.
And as Tom comes to the microphone, Tom Stock writes in easy to understand poems that always have a surprise ending. He says, my audience deserves the experience of fresh language, the originator of the Babylon Village Arts Council monthly reading series at Jack's Coffee House. Tom has 2 books of poems, one of the Pine Barrens and the other of About Fire Island. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Stock.
Thank you. On a trip up the Hudson River toward Albany, my wife had a CD of early Frank Sinatra. And I listened to that CD, I was spellbound, it was so excellent. And that spawned a new series of my poetry. It's called the I Am series. And what I do is I inhabit the life of someone I admire, some person, place, or thing, and I write a poem about it. I'm up to 30 now, and the one I'm working on now is I Am Trixie, my next door neighbor's dog. So this was called I Am Frank Sinatra's Vocal Cords. Wind flows up his bronchial tube. Then the windpipe, it comes to his chords. It asks permission to pass, to vibrate, to sing, soft, loud, vibrato, treasure for the ages. Frank songs and sings his heart out, but not so strong as to keep his vocal cords fresh. Mouth to microphone, spotlight beaming, song like a god, sings like a god. His vocal cords insured for millions. More records, more gigs. Listen, hear a song. I am those vocal cords. I hear him sing. I am the one singing, not Frank. He obeys us. We modulate, we hesitate, we crescendo a note that sends shivers up our spine. We rest after a performance, thinking how great we are. We are Frank Sinatra's vocal cords. He uses us to gain fame. We get paid nothing. Our union, Vocal Cords of America. He has no leverage. We can't go on strike, so we call in sick. I am Leonard Bernstein. Leonard Bernstein, I have some symphonies he conducted, and I just love the guy. So I'm going to become him in this poem. I am Leonard Bernstein. His arms are flailing, he's raising, he's dampening, his head is filled with emotion that he creates and now enacts in a trance. His hair bounces, his body reads a wild man whose music has him dancing. Often overcome with passage, his music has taken hold of him. He becomes the music. He swats flies with his hands out flat. To quiet the orchestra, he introduces me to Maria, his Latina babe. Jets and sharks gang up. Leonard reels them in, a baton in his hand, a magician, wafting beauty. With his eyes closed, he comes to our passage that seizes him, lets it flow, morphing into energy with only his arms. And the force of his being, I want to be this man. Put me in your West Side Story, Mr. Bernstein. Rock me in the cradle of your arms. Okay. I am also a fan of Yo-Yo Ma. And so I am Yo-Yo Ma's bass cello string. How your bow crosses the thick bass string, your cello sounds like hollow moans. You take me to the depths I never knew possible. You take me to a deep canyon where your notes howl like a coyote. They echo into my memory. I am shaken. Draw your bow, Yo-Yo Ma. Rake it slow. Vibrate something inside of me. Take me into that dark dungeon. Let light rays pour through a small window. Hanging out with Aaron Copland. I love Aaron Copland's music. I drove across country playing all of Aaron Copland's music on my tape recorder. Hanging out with Aaron Copland. I pop his CD into the dashboard slot. His America, my America. Landscape pass eye, lakes, deserts, canyons, forests, meadows, rivers, all flowing from his music. A rodeo of diversity. I am bronco busting with Eric. He jumps and sways, music with verve. American flaps, snaps, waves, hello from Mr. Copeland. He swashbuckles with me. We are on the same wavelength. I see America from my car, Aaron Copeland riding shotgun. His music has kidnapped me. We climb Mount Rushmore, swipe the president's heads. Thanks, Mr. Copeland, for making me feel like an American. Okay? I am a cabbage butterfly. Okay, well, I work on a farm and I see cabbage butterflies flying all over the place. And so I decided I want to become a cabbage butterfly. The whole point of these I Am series is to inhabit another being and put myself in their shoes and think like them and see what would happen. I am a cabbage butterfly. I am always looking for cabbage leaves to deposit my eggs. There are no cabbages. I've spent a lot of time searching, circling, erratic jerks and turns, fast. Where are the cabbages? Eyes and antenna, fine-tuned. I have great powers of discernment. Every once in a while, I come upon lavender. This is a sure stop for a tiny nectar droplet. Catnip turns me on too. Gotta visit those sweet blossoms. I search gardens and zinnias and roses and pansies, all tempting, but not like cabbages. Their leaves are meals for the worms hatched from my eggs. I search everywhere, hoping no cabbages maybe give me a new name like that fluttering white thing over there. I am a cloud. Okay, when you go in an airplane and you fly high up at 30,000 feet and you look down on the clouds, and sometimes you go into a cloud. When I was in an airplane, I saw a cloud. It inspired me. I want to be like a cloud. So this is my cloud. I am a cloud wannabe. Stuck here on Earth, watching you float by. Can I join you? You white, billowy, moisture-laden beauty. I've been inside you when flying to California. You are huge battleships heading east. I wish I was part of your water cycle, so I could travel the world when you rain, evaporate, and once again become tiny droplets. I want to create shadows as you pass over. I want to form dragons in shapes of contrived to delight the imagination of who's looking up. I want your freedom, your hurricanes, your tornadoes. I want you to turn drought into wetness. I want to have your cloud names, cumulus, cirrus. I want to swirl, catch sunlight in the evening. I want you to become flat out stratus, swallowing sunlight. I want people to look up and see the promise of the day, which you created in your great blue sky. I am a cloud. All right. One more?
Yeah.
I am Amelia Earhart. I admire Amelia Earhart. 3 more minutes? Okay. She was I don't know, I read a biography of her, and I said, I have to become this woman because out in Yosemite National Park, I camped next to a peak. It was called Amelia Earhart Peak. So that inspired this poem. I am Amelia Earhart. Queen of the air of Beatrix. You broke records to show women they can fly too. All around the world, let me fly with you, Amelia. Teach me. Let me join your admirers. Let me watch you handle the stick. Let me cheer when you won flying contests. I grieved your crash near the end of your a round-the-world trip. Your passion for adventures lives on. Okay, all right, here's the last one I'm going to be. Okay, two more, right? It's called, I call myself Talkhouse. Stephen Talkhouse was a Native American Montauk. And I became familiar with his life, and I said, I want to be him. So here's the poem I wrote, In His Shoes. They call me Talkhouse. Long legs carried me far from my cottage in Hitherwoods, Montauk, to deliver mail and packages across that deep strait. Those Amagassett to East Hampton and back with more mail. I was a revolutionary soldier. I repaired cane chairs. See me in a whaling ship out on Sag Harbor with my long stern face, long coarse black hair, waistcoat and bow. I am Stephen Pharaoh Talkhouse, a nickname. Don't know where it came from. And my last is going to be one more one of these. I am Walt Whitman. He promotes a real Walt. He looks like him with his long white beard, some tight clothing, same tight clothing, carpet bag, deep voice, and well-worn copy of Leaves of Grass. The real Whitman would be proud to have such a self-promoter in his likes and a friend, Darrell Ford. When I visited his birthplace, I stood in the room where Walt was born. I imagined him crying. I still hear him through his poetry and essays and life. Walt Whitman is alive. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Tom. So, oh my God. Okay, let's all join in one more time to thank Tom for that wonderful reading, which included everybody we've ever wanted to be. Okay, our next feature is a fairly new poet. He's only done, I believe, well, probably many more by now since this bio was printed, but originally it was his third public reading. Joseph Joe Hurns, born in Cleveland, Ohio, didn't start writing poetry until the age of 50 after being inspired by his mother during his 7-month incarceration. He's written over 46 poems. And again, this is his third reading. Through the Lord and his poetry, Joe has acquired love, understanding, and freedom to share his life journey with others. Help me welcome Joseph Joe Hurns.
Thank you very much, Maggie. Okay. Can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Yes, we can, Joe.
Oh, okay, then. All right. I'm going to start off with a poem that is over 20 years old that I have created. It's from the Alpha to the Omega. I have taken a look, gaining love, knowledge, and wisdom through a great book. With this, I place my faith into the hands of God, and I will keep that faith or face his mighty rod. I will keep this faith forevermore as I walk by the light and not by sight through all of life's doors. So we go on to, I wrote this poem to my mother while I was in there, and it was called Closer to Home. I have walked through a great book where I have grown. As I walked with the Lord, I walked closer to home. Is this possible that this could be as I walked with him from birth to 33? I even feel what he has felt when we stopped in the garden where he had knelt. I pray he prayed for me and you, and I believed he's all powerful of what he can do. We continued to walk on the shores of Galilee as he cured and taught to common people like you and me. He pushed on from city to city, stopped on a mountain called Calvary. We listened to his preaching to understand his teaching. On this cross, he made his last groan, and this made my steps go closer to home. After lying in a tomb, all who knew him gave him praise. He blessed all, young and old, by saving us from our original sin and restoring the soul. I look back over the footsteps shown just to see they have carried me closer to home. This was on the back of my mother's obituary, in which it was a message. I leave these words of mine that you can take through your lifetime. This knowledge I leave for you to give to all my loving crew. You have an awesome God above who has left knowledge, wisdom, and love. And he would like you to take care of your soul business, he tells, because there is no fire escape in hell. This next poem, I try to live a holy life. Now, as I remember the 3rd of April, going down with my last breath of words available, Lord, please don't let me die here, had me frightened and full of fear. As the bullets of 8 hit the steel front door gate and went through the wooden door, hitting me, and I hit the floor. Yes, I needed to know now. Must I keep my feet on solid ground? As I now looked around by keeping my mind clear, for now my whole body was in pain each day, month, continuous years to live a holy life. Although I thought I didn't deserve it, I woke up 3 days later with the Holy Spirit. In order for you to fight a fight and win, you must be born again. Yet I could have woke up with broken bones and organs gone, or with spinal damage, maybe a wheelchair, with a bag on my side, or a dog for a guide. But with God, all of me survived. You see, it's a battle to have a lack of joy with tension, and it's dangerous thing to hear the gospel and not listen. God protects us, so with this I try to live a holy life. I'm motivated to walk with him because God is a God of justice. So I said, Father, I thank thee, thou hast heard me. This next poem is a message. This is what death will bring, a 3-part separation of the human being. Yet this message will not come by wire. It's passed by hand, told to ear, to require. As my body laid in a still state, my appointment was made by the Creator's date. Hold on. As my body laid in a still state, my appointment was made by the Creator's date. So this is what I found. My body went to ground, and my eternal flame had burnt out, surrendering it without a doubt. 5 minutes after my timely death, my spirit and soul had left, in which my spirit will return to God, and my soul to face his mighty rod. In this world, there's a place of divide, but on earth, you have to decide how this place, that is Hades, is where you want to be. It's paradise with love, joy, peace, a land of praise where you can love the Lord in all ways. Tartarus is a worldly jail where you are held without bail. Taurus is the world for ungodly of us. This is where we will stay until the judgment day. Court will be set for both sides. When that day comes, it will be no surprise. Now, it's a choice you will have to bear. Can you hear me out there? Hello, hello. Can you hear me out there? All right. I have one more poem in which to give. This poem is to my family and friends. A notice has arrived from the chief architect who had advised that my mansion was complete, and a chariot and a ticket for me, and I can take a seat. Well, my new home truly is finished, and what a sight to behold. It is located on an exclusive estate beyond the pearly gates, graciously given and not sold. It is just over the other side of the Sorrento shores with crystal chandeliers and bronze doors, finished with a scene of clouds for a floor. Of course, you know the streets are paved with gold, and every day is Sunday, just like you have been told. I can walk and talk with my master without any worry or care, and the sound of music with angels in the air. I can dine with the master's bountiful table and sing. My heavenly Father is there in all his glory, and he allows me to usher him in. And oh, yes, I have my own designer here who fitted me with my own white robe with wings that appear. I'm going to pray that you move here someday. Now, my address will be my God's Lane, a state of heaven is home. And P.S., I don't have email or a cell phone. But if you need to call on God, if you don't have any number, it's for any age. Just read your Bible. You'll find it listed on every page. Okay, Chip. And to all, I hope that did.
Joe, thank you for sharing your gift and your enormous faith with us. It's what a wonderful thing. Let's hear it again for Joe Hurns.
Hey, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Maggie.
What a gift these afternoons are to us. And Joe, just keep coming back. I mean, you're just getting started.
Thank you, Maggie. I will. I shall return.
And now we have someone whose poetry I have personally admired for a long time. And a lot of you are probably familiar with her because she does a lot of readings, understandably. Nancy Keating's poetry has been published in New Letters, the Southampton Review, the Gettysburg Review, Poetry Daily, and elsewhere. Her second book, White Chick, 2021, won the Anti-Venom Prize from Elixir Press, and a chapbook, The Patron Saints of Knitting, came out earlier this year from Finishing Line Press. She holds an MFA from Stony Brook University and teaches at Farmingdale State College. Help me welcome the wonderful Nancy Keating.
I wish you were here, but you are virtually here. Anyway, yeah, tough act to follow, tough two act to follow. So let's see. I think I'm going to start with I am going to start with a couple of kind of mock prayers I wrote to imaginary saints, and I come from the Catholic tradition where we have many, many saints. We all have various tasks to perform, like St. Joseph, patron saint of carpenters, and so on like that. In Stony Brook University, there was one course I took where homework one week was write 5 prayers to imaginary gods. And I said to myself, I was raised Catholics. We don't need gods. We've got saints. So I did that. And I was also thinking about like how to put the whole semester's work together into some kind of a theme. And then I said, how about knitting, which is one of those female crafts, you know? If a man does it, it's art, and if a woman does it, it's a craft. And so women know about this. But anyway, so you go Google patron saints of knitting and you don't find any. And I said, no problem, I'll just make some up. So, prayer to Saint Acrylius, patron saint of synthetics. Ah, beloved Saint Acrylius, you was favored by Woolworths and Newberries and Lee Ward and so many 5 and dimes of yore, please shine your light on my request to God for forgiveness for my long ago sin of making and giving all my friends those knitted and crocheted vests and headbands and bags and whatever else might be trimmed with fringe or macrame, and those dreadful day glow back to the earth colors, so current back then, so humiliating now, looking through these fading orange Polaroids. Although, to be fair, saints, when one is young and lovely, no stratosphere of tackiness in wardrobe can truly succeed in making a radiant health look ridiculous. My old friends grin and glow, shoulder to shoulder, so high and happy in their 70s, orangey gold avocado acrylic granny square vests, with their mutton chops and afros and ironed peggy lips and curtain of hair. Those nasty vests, so pilled and matted, would outlive us unless one were to be torched by the spark of an errant reefer. So many of us in our marijuana hazes and our literature seminars smiled like sunsets back then, saints. Some are no longer with us, Acrylius. If you see them, apologize for me and say, I knew not what I was doing. Amen. So the assignment was 5 saints, and I was having so much fun with it that I actually wound up writing 20 of them, which then wound up in the chapbook. So, which I didn't even pay for, somebody else did. Patron saints of knitting. What else would you call it? So here's another imaginary saint. Prayer to Saint Dita von Graff, matron saint of measurement. Oh, blessed Saint Dita, your shape stays in your memory, your body is your yardstick, and your wingspan equals your height. Dearly beloved matron saint of measurement, bless us with the understanding of rules of thumb, such that a foot measured shall forever be a foot, as is the elbow to wrist, and help us conjure, even from the legally mandated 100-yard distance, the proper measurements of the former lovers we stalk, that we may continue to knit them unwanted yet beautiful sweaters and vests. Despite the fact that all this devotion freaked said ex-lovers out, and they called us clingy and codependent, and they didn't want to commit themselves to a relationship right now. Grant that the famous knitting curse be lifted as these same ungrateful yet deeply hot former lovers come to see the error of their ways and return to our woolly embrace. In you, Saint Dita, we place our trust. Amen. Like I said, I was having way too much fun with this stuff. Okay, I could do another couple. Maybe I'll come back a couple of moments. But, here is this book, which won the prize that Maggie talked about. This actually is my thesis from Stony Brook University with one poem substitution, but everything else is exactly as it was for my thesis. So who says graduate school is a waste of time? And they even paid me $1,000, which is nice. You can make a living on poetry. That includes that. Anyway, okay, you can tell I've got kind of sarcastic tones to some of these things, but it just kind of comes naturally, being, I don't know, being me. So, Hawaii. There's a fire in the boatyard across the street, and my husband wakes me up at 5:15 to tell me this in a gradual waking from silver dreams, and hands me my first mug of coffee, and we stand at the second floor window, ringside seat, while the trucks pull up, 7 and 2 hook and ladders squirm their way into the boatyard driveway, the back way to the row of shops that's burning. No one lives there, so it's a show in dovish hues, black char of peaked roofs, hard by a lava of flame. The second guessing. Why does it take forever to screw the hose to the hydrant? Why do the men seem to amble and discuss? Is there a hose in the cherry picker? Shouldn't there be trucks around front? Tongues lick out wholly from the ash gray roof. They tear at the seams of a normal morning, my mind informs me. Sees a picture in my missal of the apostles at Pentecost, and we wonder if it's gotten to the paint store yet. Someone sets a row of orange cones to block the street. Steams of water hit the roof and dissipate. The scene is blocking the smoky dawn, and a glow surrounds the non-culture neutral of suburban real estate. And I think how the palette reminds me of Kilauea on film. It's lava orange and sparking and surging over its blackened mountain, as far from us as could be in still America. Joggers and walkers with dogs and coffee pause, like the way we watch the evening news at its faraway depth. Drinks and knitting in hand. Always one foot out the door. Once a friend of mine shared a rumor of someone's uncle who kept 30 fully packed suitcases in a locked room for his friends. Always keep a passport and a getaway bag. Suitcase man had been a refugee, a professor, impeccably dressed in the old style from Trieste or Istanbul. Always leather shoes, always polished. People like this still roam the earth. I think of the wandering Angus grown old and disheveled, out on one road and the road beyond it, chasing a memory of delight. Last night at the Indian restaurant, our friend showed us his passport. He carries it everywhere. I look over at you. Okay. I have an Irish background, so you can probably tell. But so here's a poem about Irish pubs. The marketing mavens of Guinness for years have sold pubs in a box. Ships to publicans across the globe. Unload the crate for instantaneous patina. Banners, bats, old pipes, harness brass. The paraphernalia of an actual pub, where the peasantry and ascendancy might have shared a pint in the day, giving trinkets to the landlord. No trouble at all to round up the stuff from dusty shops in the countryside. Pack it and ship it away, just like the Irish millions. I spotted my grandfather in Siena once, in sepia with a row of other lads, wearing the uniform of the team. Grandpa, with his long limbs and untroubled brow, his hand holding the ball intact. Thanks, sweetie. Okay. Now, this is something that the Southampton Review published last spring, which I wrote before I even started the MFA program, which they don't know. But anyway, so I have a series of poems called Grammars, which I've been kind of trying to shop for a publisher. So this is the grammar of flower. How it sips down like snow into the grout between tiles, while behind me out the window, the late snow sips down like flour on a pale day that twists into spring, and how how it turns my black dress white and filthy again, and I need to beat myself to clean it off like a sinning soul, and how it has the power to break another sifter of all the unglamorous things to buy. Sifter must top the list. And how I must knead the dough to pound it into a kind of submission that never succeeds in subsuming the upcropping memories of those I owe the recipes to. And then how it kills my time for me with its dust like cremated bones, chalky and clumping on my kitchen counter, that none of the uncounted gone ones would recognize, but I definitely remember them. How could I not? I used their pie plates, as I remember Nana, who showed me how to make a pie crust and said, after you roll it out and lift it carefully into the plate like an old body, you press it down around the rim with your thumb, the mark of the cook. And I can never make a pie after that without seeing her thumb. Best apple pies on earth. Oh, we figured out that Crisco, she used to use Crisco, so I tried it in a recipe, like we're trying to reconstitute the perfect pie crust. You know what? Crisco used to have lard in it. That was the secret. Now it's vegetable oil. So, I don't know, I'm just saying, which has nothing to do with anything. Sorry about that. So, okay, here's another grammar poem, also from the Southampton Review. The grammar of smiling, or maybe the pointlessness thereof. Smile and the world doesn't smile with you. The world spins on without you. It's stunning, stellar disregard for your dust mote marginality. Harsh but true. Smile all you want, and the globe keeps forming. The moon keeps waxing, waning. Tectonic plates heave, erupt, resettle. And there you go, smiling on, smiling through life as if it's some joke. A life long for you, yet short compared to infinity. Look what happened to the archaic statues, every one of them straight up stiff, forever smiling like fourth graders in a class picture. In college Art in the Dark lectures, my instructor totally dissed the Greek archaic period. How much more realistic were the classical figures, he said. The Elgin marbles, that English set, the highest Hellenic expression of body-hugging drapery, women in motion, intent on their mission, revenge, homage to gods, murder. For all time, they surge ahead, garments floating over their tits. None of them smile. Three more? Well, now what do we do?
Okay.
Okay. This is not exactly, this is sort of political because like I realized I could make it political. Prayer to Sir Thomas More, patron saint of politicians. And by the way, that is a real Catholic saint, Sir Thomas More. Your Grace, you may find this an odd request, but my knitting guild really needs guidance. It's been hijacked by a new president. And you would not believe, thank you. And you would not believe the palace intrigues and pot stirring we've got. Once upon a time, Sir Tom, may I call you that? Our guild was a utopian place where women sat peaceably and knitted and chatted and did all the things the haters laughed at us for, and not always behind our backs, but we were happy. We organized bus trips to alpaca farms. We made chemo caps for cancer patients and hats for veterans. Then our longtime president, who had some family issues, decided not to run for another term. Donna raised her hand and volunteered. She was elected. She held it together till May, and then she brought the crazy, telling Group A that Group B looked down on them, accusing half the board of being against her in an email that went to the whole membership. Sir Tom, ours is a small empire, but she's got a long term. People are skipping meetings. People say they're quitting. Execution isn't an option, sadly. We're looking for a loophole. What do we do? What would you do? Amen. Kind of. All right. Okay, I'm going to end with this one. My life was the size of my life. Now, I stole that title from another poet, Jane Hirschfeld. She actually knows that, and she's okay with it because this is nothing like her poem. My life was the size of my life. You could say the same about yours. I don't know what to do with truisms anymore, given that A equals A, the mathematical reflexive property, the place philosophers go right after, I think, therefore I am. These days, time is my conundrum and contradiction. I am rich in time, out of time. Time is flying, even as today stretches out toward evening. The biggest question of all, when will my time be over? What trivial activity will get interrupted? Should I go get coffee? Should I just eat a goddamn peach? Small questions shove aside the larger, the ones no one can help with. The hottest columnist of my New York youth used to Walker now. The old lady at the train station tries to suck me into conversation. She's walking with a 4-footed cane. I try not to tell my future in her pink-rimmed eyes. Young women are too beautiful in this city. Saturday morning, and East Midtown walks with sunglasses and a cup from Starbucks. All these pedestrians have excellent posture. My time is limited. I don't know what to do first. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, Nancy, thank you so much. I just love your voice. I just love your work. Let's hear it again for Nancy Keating. Yay! All right. And, yes. And let's hear it one more time for, yes, Nancy.
You know, this is like romper rooms, like I see, you know, remember romper room where like the woman would say, I see Tony, I see Bertrand, I see,
Yes.
I see Keith, I see Maggie, I see Judy, I see Susan, I see a whole bunch of, yeah, anyway, all the folks that, yeah, this is great. I see Camilla, love you, bye.
Wow. Let's give a hand for Nancy.
Nancy, and for all our wonderful features this afternoon.
Yeah.
It's been wonderful listening to you guys. I wish I could stay. Have a wonderful open mic. Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, library. And see you next time.
Thank you, Maggie. Let's give it up for Maggie Bloomfield, the author of Sleepless Night, poems by Maggie Bloomfield. Right, you know, when we were talking about the saints, is there a saint for folding fitted sheets? Fitted sheets are my number one demon, I'm sure. There is a demon named fitted sheet, and there's no way that I can fold it. It turns into a roll, no matter how I start. You know, you start nice and neat, and then all of a sudden there's a roll. So, saints of fitted sheet, if you're there, if you hear me, I've got some work for you. Okay. Welcome to our open mic. If you haven't signed up, please do so now. Our first person on the open mic is someone that's on Poetry Street on the Road, the film. Nina Yavelle is a wonderful poet, and she lives out in somewhere in east, like far east end. Far east end. Greenport, that's where it is. Greenport, from Greenport, Long Island, ladies and gentlemen, Nina Yavelle. Thank you.
Thank you all. What a wonderful reading by our features. Really great. Great to hear all of you. It took me a long time to write this poem. My brother passed away in 1986, and sometimes it's hard to write about a brother or someone close to you who dies young. So it took a while. Not quite finished. Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay. For my brother. At the center of his life, thankful he had shared his gifts, marked his meaning. I was a companion his eyes couldn't see. I celebrated his joy, embraced him. He was sweet and fragrant as the swirl of a dark rose. When he broke through the sack of his birth, I felt terror at the spine. The breath didn't come at all. The film obscured the sun, and my eyes were pulled from their sockets. Death pressed as hard against the bones. Lithe and graceful men stride by. Their heels sink in grit and sand. Mandolins strum, guitars and balalaika accompany the waves. The sea churns, sparkles the surface of harmony, breathes and curls its tongue before it sighs, slides back limp, and hails another ride. Some waves are quiet, tight and short, tumble slowly shoreward. Others rise up in swells, bring up black sands, large rocks, bones. Harpsichords burn through, trailing foam and rich chords. The men stray across the beach, wonder what will be when the moon falls from the sky, no longer pulls thick waters or steals time from other tides. When there is no music from the breathing of the sea and the sand remains forever dry. Oh, that grassy afternoon with its bird shell of a moon, and the children running, running. The rain sweeps through holes in the flashing, wells up in the arch of the throat. The long years of pain smoldering, fires in the orange groves. 5. The photo taken when you were a young man, your black hair, folded arms, muscled torso, your hands graceful, its thick veins roll beneath the fingers of so many lovers. Like the birch, your hips were slender, thinned at the branches, reaching toward, outward, stretching, seeking silence, serenity. That warm September afternoon when you were apple ripe and plucked from the earth and the children were singing, singing. The leaves crisp and oiled slowly drift through linen sky. Your face is hidden in the warm Libran earth where you rest, await rebirth, dancing, dancing.
Thank you very much, Nina. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to go to Zoom land and welcome Phoenix to the mic.
Hello. So, my name is Phoenix Gladney. Some of you may know me. I did this a while ago. The poem I will be reading is about my grandfather who unfortunately is no longer with us. The songbird gave us music, a truly splendid song, but now his wings are broken and winter's coming strong. It was the crow that took him, its face I do not know. He came too fast for me to see, I cried as I watched him go. Now I must sing my music, his duties on to me, but don't forget the songs he made from his perch on the orange tree. And that's it.
Nina, that was a wonderful tribute to your brother, and Phoenix, what a wonderful tribute to your father. Okay, so now we're going to come into the room here at the Riverhead Library, and we're going to ask Bill Batcher to please come and read for us. Bill is such a wonderful guy. I don't know if you ever have a chance to talk to him, but he's such a wonderful guy. We have wonderful people here at Poetry Street, the room without a roof where every voice is heard. Bill Batcher.
Thank you. And Greenport isn't that far out. On the way over here from Greenport, I was listening to NPR, and there was a interview with Roseanne Cash, and she used the line, 6% are poets. Now, I have no idea where that percentage comes from. I don't know what that figure is based on, but it was curious, and it ties into the poem I had brought along. It says, what is a poet? A poet is a sculptor, taking a large block of language and gradually chipping away, bit by bit, word by excess word, thought by superfluous thought, until all that remains in the middle of the floor, strewn with detritus, to be swept up, is the poem. A poet is a painter, placing a blank canvas on the easel, adding splashes of color or tones of gray, vibrant verbs, nuanced nouns, applying adjectives, adverbs with an R3 hog bristle brush, leaving areas of white, then selecting the proper frame for the poem. A poet is a composer, hearing in the silence a snatch of music, already metered, but needing to be scored, adding note by note, lyric by lyric, inserting refrains, searching for harmony in the poem. A poet is a choreographer, directing the words to dance across the page, to leap and slide and tap, to pirouette with grace and break dance with agility, showing each phrase, each syllable, its place in the ensemble, its position and purpose within the poem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bill, for that. Next, I'm going to bring up one of our founders. Oh, he's shaking his no. Okay, so he's going to read for us. I know he is. So we're going to go to Zoom, and we're going to ask Gladys Henderson, one of our mothers of Poetry Street, to please unmute and read. Gladys Henderson.
Wonderful afternoon of poetry once more. Oh my goodness, to hear these voices and to appreciate them. What can I tell you except that this just finishes a beautiful afternoon that heaven gave to us, and just it's fabulous. I decided to read you a poem by Leon Lee, who was very fortunate. I had a chance to be with him a couple of days. And, you know, there are blessings in our life that we always have to feel and see, and you have to try to notice them, because there's lots of times when it's easy to forget. This poem he's written is called From Blossoms. From blossoms comes this brown paper bag of peaches we brought from the boy at the end in the bend in the road where he turned towards signs, where we turned towards signs painted peaches. From laden-borne boughs, from hands, from sweet fellowship in the bins, comes nectar at the roadside, succulent peaches we devour, dusty skin and all, comes the familiar dust of summer, dust we eat. Oh, to take what we love inside, to carry within us an orchard, to eat not only the skin, but the shade, not only the sugar, but the days, to hold the fruit in our hands, adore it, then bite into the round jubilance of peach. There are days we live as if death were nowhere in the background. From joy to joy, from wing to wing, from blossom to impossible blossom, to sweet, impossible blossom. Thank you.
Wow, Gladys, I can just never get enough of your reading. Your reading is so sensitive and so powerful. I love you so much.
You're so
the next
wonderful.
person that I would like to read from Zoomland is the purple unicorn, the purple poet, the purple person who I love so much, Judy J. Space R. Space Church.
Thank you,
Judy.
Chip.
Yay, Judy.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Claire and Cliff, and miss you, Maggie. All right, so I have 2 poems. Okay, Tom. I admit it for the 900th time I've stole this title. This is an old poem from a walking workshop that we did with Tom and Max Wheat in the Pine Barrens. And so thinking of you, Tom. So this is in my A is for Almost Anything. A reservoir of sky, the Pine Barrens. 2 guides, one ahead, one behind, a dying cardinal. Not yet an adult lies crying in a sacred forest. Our front leader, Tom, holds him, teaches an impromptu lesson, shows us his fledgling feathers, wingspan, raised red crown, head tilted on a weakened neck. I catch his black bead eye and no. Palm open, he gently places him on the forest floor, continues to guide this tour. I know he does the right thing. Our back leader, Max, stays behind, cradles the baby in calloused hands, takes him to safety, feeds him by an eyedropper, slakes his thirst, lets him rest in a nest of newsprint. He too does the right thing. I am torn. Go, follow, but knowing roots me to the core, standing on the trail, head down, my soul whispering, my mind silent beneath a reservoir of sky. Thank you, Tom. It was a very touching workshop. And so I had a BT thing to read, but okay, Chip. This made me think of you and your folding sheets. So here we go. This is another old poem. This is actually from 2002. War and Peace. Folding clothes, weekly fighting, battle, resorting to hanging things to line dry in dank basement, not to struggle with knotted sleeves, reversed pant legs, inside out t-shirts, all warm and fluffy dry, only to deal with elusive sock stuck in tangle of electric sheets, soon to be magnetized to my hair, the mate lost forever, or at least until the first is reborn as a dust cloth. King mattress, an island of sleeping pleasure. King sheets, an agony of creases and ripples opposed to neat folding. Closet stacked with patterns, solids, flannels, cottons, all brand new sheets. One set in the washer, followed by dryer, same set back on. My cure for folding sheets, my answer to war and peace. Thank you all for a wonderful afternoon of poetry.
War and peace. That's definitely a good description of me folding fitted sheets.
Folding.
Absolutely. William Sandback is here at the Riverhead Free Public Library, and we're going to ask him to come up. And from my understanding, William is actually from Riverhead, so we're really happy to have someone local come up and speak to us and share their poetry.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm here today for the first time, but it certainly has been a pleasure listening to everybody else. When I'm not being a lawyer and when I'm not serving as a trustee for this fine library, I gravitate towards a form of poetry called flash poetry. For those who are not in the know, it's usually defined loosely as poetry limited to 1,000 words. Not easy if you tend to be garrulous, but I don't fit into that category. So today I'm here to share with you another day. Just another day. The doorbell doesn't work. I know we talked about it, but the problem was put off to another day. The guests are greeted with a sign on the door to come in. The food is not what you have chosen, but today you don't get your way. The talk varies from quiet, respectful whispers to loud, boisterous laughs, fueled by plentiful, strong drinks. I see someone looking at our wedding picture, a frozen moment in time, professing our love, whatever may come. I wander around, catching pieces of conversations about local news, scandals, terrific sales, and the hot, hot weather. I hear words said for the sake of words to crowd out uncomfortable thoughts. Tomorrow will be different. The din will have subsided, the clutter cleared, and a hot morning coffee consumed with less to say. It seems odd, I think about the time I wanted to learn the tango, prompting a trip to Roseland, where I found you effortlessly moving across the floor in careless form while I struggled to impress you. It's quiet now, with the early morning sun slowly erupting across the well-worn grooves of the kitchen floor, leaving shadows in places where footfalls rarely intrude. The phone rings, but I do not answer. My advice to screen your messages went unheeded. You were comfortable talking to a total stranger, believing a wrong number could become a new friend. Our new next door neighbors left a note addressed to me, a reminder that I now speak for both of us. Their license plates still have oranges on them. At the right time, I'd like to get to know them, perhaps another day. I have an urge to speak in this familiar room where conversations are meant to be random but fulfilling. I hear my voice and your response to a witty, sarcastic throwaway fails to arrive. I'm left with wondering, how am I going to make it through this day with less to say? Thank you very much.
Beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, William. And now we're going to bring on Maria Anderson.
Okay.
And Maria is from Zoomland.
Yes. Sorry, I was fixing the last line in my poem. A common phrase in my house when someone messes up is "that's blue now," because when I bought my house and I was painting, I spilled a lot of blue paint. So that's blue now. And the name of my poem is "That's Blue Now." Mistakes were made is my son's favorite saying when little mishaps happen. Isaiah, your mistakes are always forgiven. You're young and you're still learning. I just hope you can forgive mine one day. Mistakes were made when I got so lost in my hurt, I didn't notice the small being growing inside of me until it was too late and she couldn't be saved. A hurt that 8 years later still isn't healed. I was stupid. Mistakes were made when instead of getting it together after my heart was ripped out, I spiraled and lost control of my life, turning to comfort in substances that only served to drag me lower until my deepest fears became my only reality. I was weak. Mistakes were made when I thought he was my friend, but he manipulated and used me until I couldn't see the logic through the lies, and I kept quiet until it ate me up inside. I was gullible. Mistakes were made when you had a nightmare and found me sitting in the bottom of the shower, crying until I couldn't breathe. The fear on your small face as you saw the depression I fought so hard to hide from you. You were never meant to see how broken I am. I was ashamed. Mistakes were made when we left New York for my mental health because I thought it was easier for me to care for you in Arizona, unfortunately to a slight detriment of your relationship with your dad, which thankfully was easily repaired, but I was scared. Mistakes were made when I let him back in our lives, knowing this time wouldn't be any different. He has been how he is my whole life, and I was stupid to let you get attached to a man I was hoping would see his grandson and fix the mistake of not being there for me. I was selfish. You're smart, compassionate, funny, and real. You're this amazing little man, and watching you grow and learn has been the singular best experience in my life. But mistakes were made when I had you before I healed me. And mistakes were made when I raised you in the shadow of my trauma, so hell-bent making sure you never knew half the feelings I was forced to learn existed, that I fear now for any unintentional damage I may have caused you, and for that light in my deepest darkness. Please forgive the mistakes Mommy made when she was still learning. I'm sorry that Mommy is blue now.
Maria, I just love you. And I love the relationship that you have with your beautiful son. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Pamelita Jones, also known as the Ambassador of Peace, who will be one of our features for next month, is here, and we're so happy that she's going to read for us today. Pamelita Jones, Ambassador of Peace.
Okay, I just want to show you something real quick. This is a picture of a man walking down the street with a holding a knapsack. And this is a win-win situation because this man, either he's leaving you and carrying all the terrible things he was going to do to you away, or he's on his way to heaven to tell God all the good things he did for you, that you did for him. The title of this poem is Lord Knows Best. Though it seems our hope has gone awry, Lord knows best, and I'll get by. Though my loved one is lost, these tears I cry, Lord knows best, and I'll get by. Oh God, sometimes I just want to die. Lord knows best, and I'll get by. My dream didn't come true, although I tried. Lord knows best, and I'll get by. The dark one torments me, seems like the angels don't fly. Lord knows best, and I'll get by. Because I'm sure the dark one lies, Lord knows best, and I'll get by. Amen. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Carmelita. Sasha Editor, if you could please read for us. Thank you.
Thank you for this wonderfully inspiring afternoon of poetry. We chose The Long Way Home. He tucked his arm under my Times Square, wrapped his leg around my Fifth Avenue, rested his elbow beside my 34th Street, glided his fingers down my Columbus Circle, ran his toes up my Brooklyn Bridge. We chased the lightning under a creamy sky, and I said, "You can call me Indigo." But the cake never did rise. Too much flour, not enough yeast, egg whites bearing traces of yolk. We settled for small tins of trust, slow waltzed with darkness, adrift in a sea of forgiveness. We spoon-fed each other bite-sized pieces of our lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Sasha. Gigi Bungeon is a wonderful poet, and she's on many of the shows for Poetry Street. And please check out our website, poetrystreetontheroad.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Gigi Bungeon. She also has a new book. Tell us about that book.
Oh, thank you, Chip. Before I do, let me thank Tom, Joe, and Nancy for their wonderful poetry, and everybody else here. You guys know how much I love being with you, and I'm sorry I wasn't here last month. About the book, very briefly, it's called Tomorrow Smells Invisible, and I will be reading from it at the Levittown Townhouse on August 20th. Thank you, Judy. It's available on all those usual Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and it was a labor of love, and thank you for mentioning it, Chip. This poem is not in the book. It's a newer poem called Shadow Summer. Creature of cool breezes, empathy for trees, top branches bowing to impenetrable sun. Fan me, I hear them cry, and I want to save them all. Want to be the savior of trees, but no one will crown me. In the evening, breezes calm down to lullabies, and I weep for lost days and strength when heat meant fun, not the burden on old shoulders. School finished for the summer, oceans didn't bite back. Salt was what held you up, not murderous villains on trains. Honesty was more than a song title and a wish for better times. Bite into this piece and tell me you aren't being saved. I dream of peach ice cream and wait for August. What if there's no peace this year? What if summer has used me to deflect from oncoming storms? Is recess a reality? Can I just rest here, remove my winter skin, jump waves without fear? Truth bites, makes me bleed. I remember I am no longer too young to die. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much. So I'm going to put our founder, one of our founders, Robert A. Bubby Brown, who's sitting here laughing at me right now. Bubby Brown, please come to the mic. Bubby Brown.
You know, every month it just amazes me how Chip and Maggie can find these poets, and they had, I don't know how long you've been doing this now, but it's never a loss. Every month they find these wonderful poets that keep coming and bringing new avenues of poetry to us. I had to search and find something in my little carry-on book. The last page. In my prime, I had this phone book with so many pages, addresses and names of friends and such I met throughout the ages. But time has a way of erasing names, eliminating them from my book. I took some time to condense that tone, had to take a second look. This one's gone, that one's passed. Time is shrinking, my lifelong crew. What was an army but has dwindled down to a blessed and precious few. The winds of time have blown away so many of my eternal friends. It's no mystery or guessing game how this story is going to end. I just hope the names I have written have my name on their list. Irony has a way of being cruel. Sometimes it has an ugly twist. If I'm the last one on the page, no one's there to sob and cry. What does the last page matter? If no one's there to say goodbye. Music, music, music. Music, music, music. There's music everywhere. There's no escaping a lilting tune as it floats on pristine air. Music fills our hearts and souls since our tongue had learned to rhyme. From the birth of all something, I can't read my writing. From King David to Ray Charles' time. Songs of praise have lifted spirits, have eased the throb of pain. A dose, a milligram of a lullaby, a comforting, healing refrain. A song that's healed the broken heart of a jilted, angry lover. Erased the oath that they had sworn that there'd never be another. And then there's a bed, a hungry ear, a meal without a word, that's sung from the limb of a tall oak tree, sprung from the throat of a bird. That great voice you all have, talking is just half how you use it. Fit those words into a tune. See that? You are making music. John Philip Sousa's marching band, you can hear it from afar. Or the deep down throated tune trembling of the cello created by Yo-Yo Ma. For every purpose, for every place, no matter what you long for, there is a writer who's penned a tune, your purpose, he wrote this song for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bubby. And now we heard from one founder. It is fitting that we hear from the other founder, Susan Dingle.
Yay, Susan.
I'm just listening today, you guys. I'm with a full heart. Thank you so much. It's wonderful, wonderful to hear everyone.
Thank you, Susan, and thank you for the gift of poetry and the gift of Poetry Street. Next, we're going to ask Pramila Vakasta-Warren to please read for us.
Hi, everyone. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Woman as becoming. I swallowed the pill of rebellion when I was 3, stole candies from the jar labeled "Don't Touch." At 18, I walked forbidden streets, quoted heedlessness, the only way to not be stained by freshly laid tar of rules. I was a question in my parents' minds, a riddle that needed to be solved, a duty to be crossed off, girl child, married, done, check mark. I was a question to myself. Who is this woman guzzling the world as if it's going to be snatched away? A woman who feels the need to be rash, even if she gets hurt, so she can feel and think and know that she's made of star and grime and everything in between. Find words to label nuggets inside, enter caves in the interstices of brain and muscle, to unhook meaning out of scrolls kept in miserly hands, build a simulacrum as the outer world was caving in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bukowski Warren. Now, you have a new book also. Oh, sorry about that audio. So you have a new book also. Can you briefly tell us about that new book?
Oh, I have a book that came out in May. It's called We Are Not a Museum, from Finishing Line Press. And you can go to Finishing Line Press website and order it. You can also order it on Amazon. So I'll be very grateful if you can order the book. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Audrey Bird is our next reader, and this is our first time hearing her. Audrey.
Yes, thank you, Chip. It's great to see everybody, but today I'm just listening and soaking in all the poetry.
Okay, thank you so much. So we are going to go to Florida and ask Yvette Clayton to please read. Yvette is someone very special to me. She's my cousin.
Well, hello there, everyone. I'm like my daughter just said, I'm just listening today, soaking everything in. And it's been wonderful being with everyone this afternoon. So thank you and have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Chip, for everything. And thank you all, the readers today. Everybody's doing a great job.
You're quite welcome, and thank you all for coming. Now, before we bring our features back, I would like to read one poem, and it is actually in the 25th anniversary issue of the Literary Review Performance Poets Association. It's entitled America I See. America I see, and I will not be quiet, hold my peace, or get over it. I take our nation's forward past, present, and future very personally. America, there is still time to start healing from the scars of history, but by first telling the truth. Yes, the truth, the reality. This nation was born, founded, and is still being governed with ideology embedded in racism, sexism, and other cruel and inhumane atrocities. Native American genocide and slavery are just two of the deep scars in America's history. America, please learn from these mistakes and don't lose sight before it's too late. Understand any action fueled with hate, white supremacy ideology, fear, homophobia, sexism, or racism, justice, and right. America, will you please learn and not lose sight? Killing our Black men, women, and children, making policies, laws, and degrading systems designed to put and keep Black people and people of color down in poverty, depressed, and in prison, justice and right. If this America is truly the land of the free, then liberty, justice, and equality must be inclusive, including people who look like you and me. And that's one of the things I really like. Thank you. And that's one of the things I really like about Poetry Street, is because we're a diverse group of people from different backgrounds. We have different experiences. So our poetry will be different. However, we can all appreciate each other's world by understanding them, by reading and sharing our poetry and listening to theirs. You know, William, who had to leave, William from Riverhead, J.R. Turek, J space R space Turek, and this next guy, T.A. Now, are the hardest people, and these two here, Nancy and Tom, are the hardest working people in poetry world, I'm sure. With the Soul Fest and with the flash mobs and everything, and T.A. expression. So let's get T.A. on now. T.A. now.
Thank you, Chip. Back on the spot, and I'm pretty cool right there. Okay. Just to take off on what Chip just said a few moments ago, because I just want to echo him. You know, who wouldn't want to echo Chip? And I wrote in my most recent blog about Poetry Street, it says, "This is a venue where diversity thrives in more than name only." Bringing all sorts of voices to the Poetry Zoom Affair, a variety of vehicles travel down Poetry Street, and I dig the kaleidoscope convertible. Anyway, so yeah, I'm totally with you on the diversity of Poetry Street. And now, since you lumped me in there with Miss the Purple Poet herself, even though I don't belong there, here's what I've got for you. You sent me looking. I've got, this piece is called Reading Judy. When your dog ears constitute an entire pack, mutilating the clean lines of a poet's collection, you know you've fallen into a book that's good. When you're compelled to leap from your perch in excited rush of pelting thoughts and flung emotions, you know you've fallen into a book that's good. When writing by hand for you is anathema, yet you pregnant pause your perusal to grab pen and paper, you know you've fallen into a book that's good. When a poet who is purple turns you blue and green and yellows your world, you know you've fallen into a book that's good. When you wish you could snuggle up in a mellow corner of the poet's mind, you know you've fallen into a book that's good. When you know, without doubt, that your words of praise have surely failed to do the poet justice, you know you have fallen into a book that's good. That was written after, reading either one or two of Judy's books or during the reading, and I was just making my notes of what was happening as I was reading. And yeah, that's been my experience of reading Judy, hence the title. Thank you, Chip.
Thank you, T.A.
Now we're going to bring our preachers back, starting with Joe Hurns. Joe Hurns.
Okay, my last poem. I wish to read it. It's a friend of mine wrote this, and we always talk on poems. And she wrote this beautiful poem. Her name was Donna. When your world seems like it's tumbling down, where are your friends? Have they all left town? Day after day, it's the same old grind. And often it seems like you're losing your mind. Things will gradually improve day by day if you only remember to kneel and pray. You lost your job and can't find another. Now you're back at home living with your mother. From failure, rejection to the unemployment line, things will soon change and God will set the time. When troubles, despairs won't seem to go away, cast your worries to the Lord. Just kneel and pray. One of these days, you'll look back and say, I've experienced more problems when I did it my way. God's way is best, even when you don't understand. Just trust his guidance. and his divine plan. Complete your life to him and don't go astray. He'll patch things up if you only kneel and pray. And with that, I'm signing off.
Oh man, Joseph, I really appreciate you so much. Great job, and looking forward to next time you read with us. Next, we're gonna ask for Tom to please come and read again. Tom, stop.
You know where I go when I want to buy something cheap? Where do I go when I want to buy something cheap? The dollar store. A dollar, boom. It's a dollar for this, a dollar for that. Always gotta have tax. Don't forget the tax. A buck here, a buck there, $1, $2, $3. Can't go broke at Dollar Tree. It's cheap. It's a dollar. It's a dollar. Walk up the aisle, find stuff you eat, stuff you want. No need to look at the price tag. Remember, it's a dollar. Buck, 4 quarters, 10 cents. Too much packaging. It's dollar for jar all the time. Going out of business, never time. Nothing's too soon. No need to advertise. Comes in the store with a couple of bucks. Will you? This place is. That's enough.
Thank you so much. You know, I remember when stuff in the dollar store was actually a dollar.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, Nancy Keating. Ladies and gentlemen, Nancy Keating.
Come on, Nancy. Come on. Give it a good show.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Wrestling with the mic. Okay. It's a long day. What can I tell you? Forces. She said radioactive isotopes in the salon, and it started me off. Not every day does a phrase like that come up in the cell phone chat, but I'm getting my roots done, hostage to the incessant chemical fountain of youth, and Samantha's on her smartphone between clients, and now she can't believe someone's 45, and oh my God, John's 51? Sam is asking the other someone, where the hell does the time go? As I count down the minutes to done on this timer ticking next to me. I'm starting to feel like Dorothy in that movie, as Wicked Witch of the West cackles, my pretty, to her, and her eyes bug out watching the sand trickle down the hourglass. Judy Garland was so young then, really so young when she died, pretty much worn out. And now the shampoo girl says to her friend, and all the angels, my God, I tell you. And now this salon, pink and black as a donut on a sign in the night, is suddenly consequential and divine, and the isotopes whisper encouragement to the unseen stranger 45 and her slightly older husband, and I feel the rustle of Dante's 9 orders of angels as life-saving treatments are cycling through their ecstatic half-lives of mercy, and heroic forces within us unite with forces imposed by some outside agency barely discerns. Yay! You gotta come to my salon. Anyway.
Hey,
Thank you.
Don't you have a new book or anything that you want to promote?
Well, this is the book that used to be my thesis, like I said. It's called White Chick, and it is available on Amazon. And there you go. Actually, my chapbook also is available through Finishing Line Press. It's called Patron Saints of Knitting. So, and if you were here in person buying them, I would give you free a copy of the book that I wrote like 12 years ago. Because, you know, it was like another person wrote that one. But, anyway, so.
Thank you.
See you all.
And my new book, Rolling a Fitted Sheet.
Yeah.
Rolling a fitted sheet.
No, okay, all right. Look, I'm in the last prime of my life. I intend to have a ball. I will run barefoot on the grass with my hose pointing up in the air. And as the water rains, I'll look for the rainbow.
Yay, Chip, you read that one.
TA now, add that on TA Reflections. That's called perspective. Thank you so much, TA, for immortalizing that poem with your beautiful voice. Thank you so much, J.R. Turek. Thank you, Susan Dingle, Gladys Henderson, Yvette Clayton, Sasha Edison, Andrea Burke, Claire. Claire, thank you so much. Claire is our Zoom guidance. And undisclosed location because we had to protect her at all times, no matter what. But Claire, thank you so much for making sure everything runs smoothly. Thank you so much, Maria and TA and Doreen and everyone else that has joined us. Linda, who's here, Bill and Bubby and Nancy and Tom. Thank you all so much for joining us at Poetry Street. See you all next month. Here live at the Riverhead Free Library and also on Zoom at your place. Thank you so much. Now who's cooking? Bye, thank you.
Great job of hosting,
Thank
Chip.
you, Chip.
Beautiful.
Thanks, everybody.